This is Scott the Fix-It Guy. Today we're dealing with the Bosch dishwasher that is not pumping the water as strong as it could because it needs a new impeller kit. And first thing we're going to do is get the dishwasher out of the cabinet. We know it needs an impeller kit because it's not washing the dishes well. It has the right amount of water. The water is hot, but it's just not pushing the water around. So we're going to take off the lower spray arm, the filter assembly, and the basket, and just get that out of the dishwasher. And we're going to use a turkey baster to just get out any water that's left in the sump. Usually it's about 1 or 2 inches of water in the sump. We're going to make sure we unplug it or turn off the power. I'm just unplugging it under the sink. I'm going to reach up here and I'm going to unscrew this air gap by turning this nut lefty-loosey. Then I'll push the air gap down inside the sink cavity, and that'll make it a little bit easier for me to disconnect the drain hose. So the Bosch drain hose isn't very long, so it's important to disconnect it before you try to get the machine out of the cabinet. So we're going to just pull that off after we get the hose clamp loose. And I'm also going to turn off the water supply valve, and then I'll use my pliers or a wrench to loosen the nut and get the water supply off. And then I'm going to take a standard head screwdriver and I'm going to turn the front legs to the right, making them go lower so I can lower the dishwasher down. I'm going to put my standard head screwdriver in and turn counterclockwise to lower the back legs. It's a really cool thing in the Bosch dishwasher. It has that control. And I'm going to do the same, lowering the front leg in the front. Just want to get the dishwasher down a little bit lower to create some space so I can wiggle it out. So now I'm going to also remove the front panel of the dishwasher by removing these perimeter screws. I think these are torx 15 screws that go around the outside. Get them all off, and then I can pull the front panel off. That just makes it easier for me to get to some other parts later. So pull the front panel off, put that off to the side. Then I'm going to be removing this bracket by removing 2 torx 15 screws from either side. There's just 2 screws, and this bracket will come off, just allowing me to have more room to work. You got to get the wire harness off. It's just clipped on there, so just pull it off. Wiggle and pull. Comes right off. Get the bracket out of there. Now I'm taking the drain hose and pulling it off of the drain assembly. And then just wiggling the machine out of the cabinet. And I'm now pulling the screws out that hold the base of the dishwasher to the frame on the front on both sides. These are also torx 15 screws, 1 on each side. So we have to basically, when we put the dishwasher on its back, we have to separate these 2 halves. So we're just loosening that up. I need to take off the side panel, so I'm pulling it off the side. So now I've opened the door and I'm removing 2 torx 15 screws that hold on the front seal here on the left side of the dishwasher. So I'm pulling off these 2 screws, and then I can pull off the panel, the side panel, get it out of the way. Alright, I'll do the same thing here on the other side. I'll remove this left seal. It has 2 torx 15 screws. Pull those out. And I can start pulling that panel off. There we go. And now I can get the hinge springs loosened off with a pair of pliers. So I got to take off the cover first and grab a pair of pliers and just pull it off. I'm pulling off a couple of the motor connections. This is on the right side of the dishwasher if you're facing the dishwasher, right next to the motor. So a white one and a yellow one. I'm taking now off the connectors that hold the drip pan to the frame on the back. There's two of them. They're gold color, a little bit longer than the other ones. And I'm laying the dishwasher on its back. And this is so we can get the drip pan off. I still have to remove a few screws here in the inside. These are Torx 15 also. Got two here where the lower spray arm goes, and then there's two mounting screws that hold the sump in position. You can take these off also before you lean it on its back, either way. So just zip those out. So now the sump is loose. I'll be removing a couple more screws here on the front that are holding the drip pan to the frame. Also Torx 15. One here on the right, one here on the left. And get those out of the way. And then I can start to separate the drip pan from the frame. Now I'm turning the drain pump off of the sump by turning it toward me to the right. And now bringing the whole motor and sump assembly up. I'm going to remove the left ground wire. Makes it a little bit easier to get it out. And then I can start to get this motor off of the sump assembly. So I had to push in a little clip. I'm turning it to the right, and then I can wiggle it loose. And we notice when we wiggle it loose, the impeller falls out. That's not supposed to happen. That's why it wasn't pumping, because the impeller had fallen apart. And by replacing the impeller, we'll have really good water pressure again. So I'm going to push the impeller back together so I can undo it. And I'm going to put a standard head screwdriver here in the back cooling fins to lock the shaft, and then I'll just go lefty-loosey. So this is not reverse thread, this is normal thread, lefty-loosey to spin it off. Now I can get that bad impeller out of there, and I'll be also replacing a couple of seals that come with the impeller kit. So I'm just going to get that impeller off. There we go. There's the old impeller. Now we're going to get this part out so that we can get to this little motor shaft seal that comes in the kit. So I'm going to just pull off the old motor shaft seal, put on the new one. Very easy to do. And now I'm pulling out the old bearing or shaft seal, and I'm going to put a little liquid soap around the new one and then just push it in with thumb pressure. Make sure you seat it all the way down. We have that assembly, and when I filmed this I had forgotten to put the black ring that comes with the new kit around. I had to do that later, so don't make that mistake. Make sure that you take that ring, looks like a big rubber band, and put it around this white part to seal it. Very important, otherwise it'll leak. So I'm just putting this impeller back on. I'm going righty-tighty. Then I'll put a standard head screwdriver in the cooling fins to lock the shaft, and then just using your own arm strength, you don't need a wrench, tighten it down. Don't over tighten it or it'll actually break off and you'll be back to square one. Alright, so we got that tight, and you want to make sure that this white round piece underneath the impeller is still in the loose position. It has not locked in when you attempt to put the motor back on. It's still got to be loose. Then you want to push it in, turn it until everything clicks, and then you're all set to reinstall. Now we're just putting everything back together. We're going to put the drain tube back into the sump. Just push it all the way in as far as it'll go. I'm going to push the sump up into the frame. Grab hold of the drain motor. Put the drain motor and impeller back in, and then turn it away from us to your left until it clicks in and locks. Take your time doing that. Make sure you've seated that in correctly and it's not at an angle, but it's all the way in. Alright, so we got the sump in position. We're pushing the drip pan back onto the frame. Just take your time here, make sure everything's in position. Just put the intake hose back on to the sump. Get everything where you want it. Just going to push that drip pan back up. Get the sump straight. So we're just going to push the drip pan all the way back in and then put all the screws back in to hold it in position. And then we're just going to do everything in reverse order, and you'll have a dishwasher that pumps water again and cleans the dishwashers really well. So it's a common problem with the Bosch dishwasher that the impeller breaks, and this kit will take care of it. Just take your time, make sure you put everything back correctly. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel when you get a chance.